Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, you got your bear tagged out for spring. Congratulations. Now, what do you do with the skull? What do you do with the hide? So, for me, if you guys have been following along, I tagged out in British Columbia. I got both of my bears, and I just got home off the plane, froze everything, waiting to take the hides over to the taxidermist. Just gonna get them both tanned. But the skulls, I I've done a lot of European mount. I do it all myself, and I was going to give you guys just a little how-to on how to do a European mount for your bear. So I just pulled my first skull out of the freezer. It's been in there for about 4 weeks now, and I got another one to do, but I'm just going to start out with one. So right now, this is how this one is sitting. Right now, we got him in the sink. He's been in here for probably, I don't know, 8 hours, but he was frozen solid. And I'm going to try to speed up the process a little bit. How much you clean off before you start boiling. There's a lot, these big pumpkin heads especially, they got a lot of meat that build up. That's when they start getting more mature, that's how they get that big split pumpkin head, is they fill out with meat right here. So I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna whittle away. This has just been caped, so I'm gonna start cleaning all this fat off, all this meat, this big chunk of meat. Those jaw bones down in here, they got a lot of meat where the jawbone comes up and hooks in right here, connective tissue. So I'm gonna try and get the tongue out. I'm gonna try and weed out a bunch of this stuff here. Just less stuff to have to try and boil and make tender to fall off the bone and speed up the process. So first things first, when you get your skull, whether you freeze it and you're pulling it out or it's fresh and you're just gonna go right after it, try to clean as much meat off of the head as possible before you throw it in your pot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get it cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll touch bases. In this next sequence of this hyperlapse, just mind you, these skulls, especially when they're wet, they're super slick. So take your time and be really sure of where you're pointing your blade. I've done this a lot of times, so I am aware of what I'm doing. I know that the blade's all over the place, but I assure you I am being safe. I've been there and done it many, many times. So just remember, the skull is slick. You always work with a sharp knife. Run it over the stone frequent so you don't have to struggle pushing your blade around. And it'll make quick work of any skull you got to work on. Here I'm just cleaning up a pile of meat off of this thing, and it significantly reduces your boil time. If you go and take the time to just carve away at it, take your time, and learn the anatomy of the skull. And that is a lot of meat. When you start pulling that tongue and the eyes and the head meat on top and the jaw meat, that would have taken forever to boil. I mean, yeah, I could get in there really deep and scrape this and dislocate the lower jaw all the way, but that's part of the process of boiling. That connective tissue is a pain in the butt. It'll all peel off. All right, so your next step, onto the pot. All right, so this next section is pretty easy and self-explanatory. You're gonna put your skull in your pot, fill it with water, boil. Boil it for about 4.5 to 5 hours. I like to add about a cup of Dawn dish soap in the water while it's boiling. Just kind of pulls the grease out of the skull. And every few hours, I'll pull it out, scrape the meat. Eventually, I'll get that jawbone to pop loose, clean all the connective tissue out. I'll pull it out, get my garden hose, hook it up with a nozzle, and I'll spray down into the brain cavity, stick a screwdriver in there, rattle it around, just fish all that brain matter out, just keep spraying it out, lather, rinse, repeat. And then I'll usually dump all the water out, and I just use my pot in the house and I fill it up with water and bring it to a quick boil in there, and then I refill my pot out here to help keep up, because my little electric burner, my Oster, it's about time for me to replace. It has a hard time maintaining, so I kind of supplement it and bring it up to temp that way. But yeah, you just keep doing that until you get it nice and clean and get to the cleanliness that you would prefer. I try to get every ounce off, And then once you get to that point where everything's cleaned off, I let it set out for a few hours to air dry, and then get to the point where we're going to put the bleach on. And once we get to there and I get it through the process of cleaning all the little scraps off, I'll show you what I use and how I apply. All right, so the skull is done boiling, took about 7 hours. I pulled out a weed burner torch and helped supplement that old electric burner to kind of offset how slow it was, but got her nice and cleaned up. This is where we're setting at. I was able to hold that color in really good from those busted teeth. And the only problem is sometimes you get some teeth like up here that want to fall out. They get loose, so I super glue everything in. So the next step is I use this heavy duty Salon Care. It's a bleach. It's extra strength, so be very careful. Put some gloves on, and I'm gonna tape all the teeth off to retain that color, that characteristic. And we're just gonna use a paintbrush and coat all of this down with this white bleach and let it set for 12 to 24 hours, and then rinse it off, and she's gonna be done. So I'll have a finished product for you here real soon. All right, bear skull is officially done. So this sat with the bleach on it for roughly 24 hours. I just gave a nice thin layer. I don't like them to be so pearly white that it looks fake. It's just white enough. It's still got that yellow patina to it, I guess, and looks a little bit bone, but a little bit bleached. It's just a happy medium. To each their own. I don't like it to look too fake, and it cleans it up if you just do a little bit. So I like how I got the color of the teeth in here. I taped the teeth off, and I was able to retain that awesome character and that dark tooth where it's been broken half lengthwise and down below. Like I said, some of the teeth needed to be glued, but it turned out really good all the way around. Take this part off. I was able to retain that yellow right in here. It's still a little wet for me rinsing the bleach off. Another thing you need to worry about is right here in this centerpiece. It'll want to split in half there because that is a connecting part in this joint. So if you overboil, that'll want to split in half if you squeeze on this lower portion. So even if it doesn't start to split, after I'm done doing the bleach, I like to run some glue right down the middle here. Some just Gorilla Glue, the clear, just kind of extra sealant, and then I run glue along the inside of all the teeth just as a preventative, because over time they could work loose. But yeah, look at, he's definitely been wearing his teeth down. He was an old bear. So much character. But I still got one more skull to do for my bears up in Canada, and then they're all done. There we go. That's how he likes to sit. So I hope this little tutorial helped some of you out if you're on the fence on whether you want to try and do it yourself or if you want to pay somebody. But I can tell you right now, for 2 hours of your time of actual labor, you can save yourself a couple $100, and it turns out really nice. So I hope you all liked that video, and don't forget to tap that button, subscribe, and comment below if you do it yourself, and if you think there's something I can improve on or something that you do that might speed up the process or little tips and tricks, feel free to share. It's an open forum. So hope you guys have a good summer, and take care.